Greetings from Tokyo, my friends. This is Daisuke, and I hope all of you are doing well. It's really nice to see you. And I want to just say hello and take the opportunity to address another question that I received from a viewer. But before I do, let me just tell you that I am currently revisiting some 1960s and 1970s Japanese cinema, and in particular what's known as, I guess generally speaking, Japanese new wave cinema of the time. And one of the great sets that I think is worth checking out is a set that was released from Arrow Video some time back. And I'm not sure if it's still available. I hope it is. If it's available, then I strongly urge you to at least consider checking it out. It's the Arrow Academy line, and it's called Kiju Yoshida, Love and Anarchism. Now, the box set is comprised of 3 films, and the first, well, it's considered a kind of trilogy of sorts in terms of the themes of exploration of political themes at the time, or contemporary political themes intertwined with certain aspects of Japanese history, and focusing on particular personages and people in history, at least for 2 of the films. So the films that are included in this set are the films Eros plus Massacre. Now there are 2 versions of this film. The long director's cut, which is 215 minutes, and a shorter, what's known as a theatrical version, which runs at 164 minutes. And so it's very interesting. If you are interested, I would actually recommend the longer director's cut. Although there is a great little explanation by the brilliant David Desser about the differences between the 2, in case you're interested in getting a capsule overview of the differences between the 2. Anyway, so there's that, and then there is the second film and third film in the so-called trilogy on this third disc, which is called Heroic Purgatory and Coup d'etat. I must say that these films are incredibly unique and filled with much substance. They are very relevant to the 20th century Japanese experience, and in particular the latter half of the 20th century and Japan and its post-war identity and its relationship with the United States, and certain matters involving the so-called progress of democracy in the context of post-war Japan, which is still a kind of emperor system, although not quite. It's a little bit nuanced and probably a bit complex. Still, there are many ties to a kind of exploration of Japan's past and history, intertwined with its current, or at the time current, emerging on the sort of world stage in terms of culture and economy. So, and among other things, I'm sure. But there is a lot of exploration, a lot of criticism, and a lot of biting commentary about this emerging society that's coming in the late 60s, early 70s. So this is all to say that these films are, I think, really fundamentally crucial with respect to a kind of survey of Japanese cinema, if you're interested, of the latter half of the 20th century, and particularly Yoshida as a voice in this kind of political films, if you like, very important voice in the Japanese film movement. And if you are curious about this kind of so-called new wave, Japanese new wave, although I use the term very broadly and very generally because I think it is there are certain aspects of the quote-unquote Japanese new wave that I think are a little bit unique and quite distinctive in terms of the Japanese new wave as opposed to new waves of other parts of the world. Because there is a certain overlap with certain activities with certain directors during their time within the studio system, like Shochiku, etc., or Nikkatsu. But then they broke out, and there were some other movements that took place. It was actually quite complicated. And then the rise of what do you call it? Sort of intellectual cinema groups within certain university circles, combining with many political events that were afoot in the late 50s and then 1960 and all the way through the 1960s. And so all this is a big kind of pot that is a mixture of many things that are both contrary and quite exciting and revolutionary and quite volatile. So there is much going on here, and so these films are emerging from that environment. And so this is to say that I know a lot of people have been asking me if I should recommend some Japanese films, and so I think Yoshida is probably a filmmaker that I'm not sure if many people are aware of. And so that is why this set, the Aero Academy set, is very, very, very recommended. If you can get your hands on this still, I would strongly recommend you do so. This set is what do you call it? It's a Blu-ray and DVD both set. And as far as I understand, yes, the DVD is Zone 0, so it's all zone, and then the Blu-rays are all region. So you should be able to play this on any player. And I have no problem with this. As you can see, it has a Mark 15, so this is the UK release of this, although I was able to play it on my player, Japanese Region A Blu-ray player, without any issue whatsoever. So if you are interested in getting a taste of some kind of exciting, revolutionary, and quite profound examples of Japanese cinema, you need look no further than the works of Yoshida, at least in this Love and Anarchism box set from Aero Academy. It is incredibly provocative, very enticing, quite in your face in many respects. There are certain aspects of violence intertwined with politics and sex, and so a lot of the subject matter can be quite intense. But if you are game for that sort of stuff, strongly recommended. So, but anyway, that's what I've been revisiting as of late. But the other thing that I wanted to express to you, to respond to a viewer. A viewer asked me a very interesting question a couple weeks ago. And the question was, Daisuke, are there any films that you haven't seen but you feel like you should? In other words, are there any blind spots, so to speak, in your own film viewing? So this means essentially films that I have not seen, but I feel like I should. And there are many films like that. And so I thought about this, and there are so many that I feel like I should have seen, but I haven't seen. And so I'm very much, I think this could probably take it could take me a whole series of videos to talk about the films that I haven't seen that I would like to see. But if I could just say very briefly, just as a small sampling of what I haven't seen but I feel like I should, those blind spots. that I have. I think the most immediate ones that come to mind are, I've mentioned this before, for example, I'm very much adrift and lost at sea, so to speak, when it comes to modern releases. And so I have not seen the most recent releases. For instance, I haven't seen Roma. I haven't seen the film The Other Side of the Wind, the Orson Welles film that was posthumously completed, as far as I can understand. And I haven't seen any other recent releases. So for instance, I don't think, what is it, the past Academy Awards, now this is 2019 March, so the Academy Awards were, I think, a few weeks ago. And I haven't seen the Spike Lee film Black Klansman. I haven't seen the Black Panther, and I haven't seen any of the other films that were nominated. So that's just a particular issue that I have with my own film viewing. It's very difficult for me to go to the movie theaters and watch films, and so I usually it has to be a little bit of an event, and I usually go with my family or with my daughter, and so therefore I usually try to find film fare that is suitable for all ages and also suitable for her. So it means that I won't usually go to the movie theaters and watch, let's say, Academy nominated films or something like that. So, and that's one of the reasons why I don't follow the Academy Awards anymore directly, and so I don't have any kind of stake in that particular game. So I admire people who are into that stuff, but at the moment I don't tend to go out and watch recent release films, and so my knowledge of the films maybe from 2010 onwards, maybe during the 2000s perhaps, is a little bit spotty and quite I'm quite embarrassed at the amount of films that I haven't seen that are recent releases, and so that is a real difficult thing, and it's therefore very difficult for me to engage in conversations directly with people, apart from getting recommendations from people to watch certain films. And so that is probably one of the most immediate glaring blind spots in my own film watching experience. And speaking of Black Panther, I mentioned that I hadn't seen Black Panther, and that's probably another blind spot in terms of sort of popcorn blockbuster entertainment. I am a big fan of blockbuster entertainment films. I think they are really exciting, and if they're done well, it's really thrilling and exciting. But I have not seen any of the Marvel films except for Iron Man. And I don't think it counts. Does it count as a Marvel film? Perhaps not. But the Ang Lee version of the Hulk. Do you remember that film? So those are the two Marvel films that I've seen. So the Hulk, Ang Lee, but I don't think it exists in the current MCU universe. Although I could be wrong, I'm not sure. If I am wrong, please correct me. And Iron Man, the first Iron Man, and I saw that in the theater, and that was with, I don't know the names of the characters, but that was with Jeff Bridges as well. He was bald and he had the beard, and what's his name? Robert Downey Jr. is, of course. So that was I thought it was a really good movie. It was really fun, and I enjoyed watching that film. But I saw the trailer for Iron Man 2 one day, and I just remember seeing it. It was with, what's his name? Mickey Rourke, right? He was Mickey Rourke, and he had the accent. And there's a scene in the trailer where he was like dressed up in this really interesting costume, and he was doing some kind of whipping with some kind of electric whips, and he was walking towards the camera, and he's just whipping. And so, I don't know, it really didn't catch my fancy at the time, I suppose. And so I decided not to go see Iron Man 2. And ever since then, I think I haven't been actively engaged in trying to watch Marvel films. Now, that's not to say that I'm against the films. I think they are. As I said, I enjoyed Iron Man. But I think at the time Iron Man 2 was coming out, I wasn't quite aware of this developing into something huge. Ever since, I think, since the first Avengers film came out, then that sort of sealed the deal, and it meant that everything was becoming connected. So I sort of lost interest before that was established. And so once that was established, I feel like I have to play some catch up. And so I felt like I wasn't able to do so because it meant investing time and trying to figure out the characters and do all that work. And I think it's a fine thing to do. But I guess at the time my mind wasn't in the right place, I suppose. So this is therefore leading me up to my current situation, which is I haven't seen any of the Marvel films except for Iron Man. So now I understand that there is a great interest and excitement for the next films that are to be released. I'm very much, how should I put it, I'm very jealous of those people who are in a strong anticipation for the upcoming films, because I understand it's going to be some kind of capping of the entire story or something. So that should be very exciting, but I haven't seen any of those films. So that's another blind spot for me, which is the Marvel films. I really should try to remedy that, especially because my kids are getting a little bit older, and I think it might be a good thing to watch good superhero movies. So who knows? Maybe I'll try to watch the films in order with my children. So let me think about that. But as I said, it's not anything due to any inherent dislike of superhero action films or anything. Not at all. Not at all. I really love those films. It's just I just didn't hop on the Marvel train at the right time, and then by the time it left the station, I was just, I felt like I should have climbed on earlier, but I just didn't, and it just left me by, and so I was left standing on the train platform, so to speak. But who knows? Maybe one day I will try to remedy that, and especially I hear that Black Panther is an incredibly exciting film, so I really should try to watch that. And I know people have recommended other films to me that I should watch: Captain America, The Winter Soldier, and Ant-Man, I think, or the Guardians of the Galaxy films, I think. So that's probably those are some films that I've heard people recommend to me, and so that should be very exciting. So I look forward to watching those whenever I get a chance. But and the Avengers, the first Avengers, I think people have been recommending to me a lot, so I'll see what I can do. The last superhero films that I did see in the theater were the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. So what is it? The Dark Knight Rises would be the last one, and I didn't get a chance to see Man of Steel or what's that one? Batman versus Superman or Justice League. So I didn't see any of those films, or Wonder Woman either. I haven't seen Wonder Woman yet. So those are other similar blind spots, I think, for my own film journey. And I'm a little bit embarrassed to admit that. But the last film I saw was The Dark Knight Rises, that kind of superhero, exciting adventure film. And I really like that film. I don't love the film. I like it very much, and I do really appreciate The Dark Knight. I think that is an amazing work, and I think it's I don't know. I think The Dark Knight Although I should take that back. I think The Dark Knight Rises for me is a film that has grown on me a lot as time has gone by. There are still certain aspects that I think are a little bit wobbly, but I think they are things that I think I can look over or look past and just enjoy the entire spectacle. The Dark Knight, though, is and Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, I think those two are really good. They are aging so well. Do you notice that? I think they age so well. And in particular, The Dark Knight, I'm so amazed at how well that's aged. That is a great time. So, yes, so who knows? Maybe this is an indication of me, and I should probably get into the MCU films, and I'll see what I can do. So again, I'm very embarrassed to admit that, but I think there is plenty of time for me to try to play a little bit of catch up. So yeah, there's that. And the other big glaring blind spot for me is Korean cinema. And Korean cinema is another one that I'm very embarrassed to admit that I have not seen much of. Now, when I should preface this by saying, when I was in college, and maybe a little bit after college, in my mid-20s or so, mid to late 20s maybe, I was very much into South Korean cinema, at least as far as I could get my hands on at the time. I don't know if you remember the film Shiri. That was a really exciting action film with Han Suk-kyu, and that ushered in, or it's said to have ushered in, this huge Korean wave, so to speak. And I'm not sure if that's. I'm not too clear on my Korean cinema history, modern Korean cinema history, but. It was an exciting film. It was hugely popular, and it's a really great film, and really exciting. I had the DVD of it, and so that made me very excited for films at the time, and so I watched other Korean films that I could get my hands on, like Peppermint Candy. I hope those of you who I know Korean cinema, you'll probably know Peppermint Candy, and it's incredibly deep and very moving plot, but it is also set within a very intricate cinematic narrative structure. Quite provocative, very thought-provoking, yes. Peppermint Candy. And then there were others that I was so much into. What was that one? My Sassy Girl. That's the one, right? My Sassy Girl. That was really great. And there was the one. Do you remember that one? Oh gosh, I haven't thought about this one as well. Il Mare. Was that? Is that the title? Is Il Mare? Oh, that was a great one. I love that one so much. Yeah, Il Mare was one that I tended to watch a lot, and this was when I was younger, much younger than I am now, and I was single, and so that was a time when I was very prone to getting, what's the phrase, lovesick, and so watching films like Il Mare would be, how should I put it, very fun and very therapeutic for me. So I enjoyed those very much. And there was also just other examples. I was I still am, I'm a huge admirer of Shim Eun-ha. Yes, I might have mentioned it before, but the film, my Korean is very poor, but Parole Christmas, so this is Christmas in August, and that is the great classic it's so tender. I'm not sure if it's available. I don't have the DVD of it anymore, unfortunately. It got lost somewhere. But I had that DVD, and it was so moving, and it is very emotionally impactful. Christmas in August. There's also the really bloody kind of serial killer horror film called Tell Me Something. Do you remember that film? Tell Me Something. That's also with Shimun Ha and Han Suk-kyu, I think. What a fantastic DVD release that was. I remember there was that it's just a weird film. I'm thinking about, I haven't seen it in a long time, but that, I shouldn't say anything more except just it's a film that I remember watching, and I watched it many, many times, and I still, to this day, don't understand what the heck went on, what the heck was going on with that film. It really played with my mind in a very profound way. Very disturbing, very bloody, lots of bloody effects and body parts and all that stuff. So if that's something that you are, it's a very high voltage thriller, very bloody, very gory. Highly recommended if you can handle that sort of subject matter. And then there was also the film Interview. So this is I think it was sort of like do you remember those Dogma film, the Dogma style filmmaking? So it was very in that similar vein of filmmaking, and that's also with Shimun Ha. So I watched the film initially because it featured her as the main star and the main actor, and I was very impressed with her, and also the actor who was in Il Mare as well. So this is all to say that I, up to a certain point, I was very much into Korean film. I loved it very much, and it was very exciting. And of course, there are also the editions in the Criterion Collection, the film Secret Sunshine, and also the film The Housemaid. Those are the only two Korean films I understand at this point in time, anyway, that are in the current Criterion Collection. And so it's not very many at all. So I always wanted to have more Korean films in the Criterion Collection. I think that would be great. And unfortunately, I think Korea as a cinema is underrepresented in the current Criterion Collection. And I hope that gets remedied very soon. But this is then to lead me to my current situation, which is at the moment I haven't been able to see any modern Korean films. I do have a couple that I've received very kindly from certain people as gifts, but some plain archive titles, but I have yet to dive into those because time has been, free time has been a little bit elusive to me as of late, but I hope that can change. But yes, and I know that Korean cinema has really reached a real renaissance, and in terms of the global presence and importance of Korean cinema, I think this makes me even more embarrassed to admit that this is a big hole in my own film journey. Now, I know there are many people out there, many friends of mine in this channel who are huge Asian film experts, and in particular experts in Korean cinema. I would point your attention, for instance, to my dear friend, Asian movie enthusiast, and also my dear friend, Touch of Film, Hus at Touch of Film. Those are two channels, among other channels, of course, but those are two channels that come immediately to mind. So if you want a perspective on Asian cinema or Korean cinema that is much more well-rounded and much more in-depth than anything that I could ever provide, then you really should check out those channels if you haven't already. Asian Movie Enthusiast and A Touch of Film. So yes, so this is a big glaring hole in my film viewing life, and I really need to fix it. But again, it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of access, and I don't think the issue of access is a big issue for me. I think it'll be fairly easy to access these titles. At least I know that there is a video rental store very near to where I live, and it's still open, and so they have a very sizable South Korean film selection. So this is very good for me. So yes, so I wanted to try to watch more South Korean films, but at the moment it's a huge gap in my own film education. Yes, so and I have many more gaps and many more blind spots in my film viewing life, but those are the ones that come immediately to mind, and hopefully that I will be able to fix those. But in the meantime, so I mean, it's impossible for me to see everything that has ever been made, and in fact, I wouldn't describe myself as being someone who has watched a lot of films, actually. I know many other people who have a very strong maybe YouTube presence, or they are critics, or maybe they are film enthusiasts and the like, and they have much more of a wider range of film viewing experience than I could ever begin to hope to have, you know. So I don't, I never want to suggest in any way that I've seen many films. Actually, my viewing experiences, I think, now that I think back on it, I've been very fortunate in being able to watch many of the films that I have been able to watch over the years since when I was a teenager and then beyond. So I've been very fortunate, very lucky, and I always try not to forget that. But at the same time, I can say honestly that I have very many gaps, and so my film watching has always been very, very narrow. And as I always, I mentioned this before, you know, for every one film that I discover, every new film that I see, I realize that there are 100 films, 1,000 films that I have not seen, and perhaps I never will be able to see. So I appreciate that my own exposure is very, very limited and very narrow. And in fact, there are many other complex issues with respect to viewing cinema, because it's a commercial thing, and so there are commercial channels, distribution channels that are controlled or that are influenced by certain market players, studios and distributors and the like. So that plays a large role in what ends up in the movie theaters where I'm at, or in the DVD and Blu-ray catalogs of these big companies that are selling Blu-rays and DVDs and the like. And so I understand that, and I appreciate the fact that even current commercial cinema is maybe in the long run, in the grand scheme of things, while it's perhaps the most immediate to me and to everyone else, it's perhaps in the long run a very small slice of the pie. And when we look at the overall pie, that is the landscape of cinema, I think we can find that there are just an infinite, exponential amount of films that we have yet to discover, or I have yet to discover. And so there is much discovery that I realize that I perhaps will never be able to make in my lifetime. And so that is all to say that my viewership and my viewing habits and my viewing life and experience is incredibly, incredibly limited. I wish I could do my best to try to break out of that, but unfortunately, there's only so much time in the day for me. So, but that's one of the great things about YouTube and this and this interaction between you and me, because you help me at least try to fill in those gaps, at least with information and your enthusiasm and your experiences. And so that is one way for me to try to get closer to getting a fuller appreciation of cinema from many parts of the world, not just those parts that I'm quote unquote used to, but other places that are equally worth one's attention. It's just a matter of, as I say, access and also information. Sometimes it's very difficult to get information to know where to start. And so this interaction with many of you and your recommendations is incredibly important for me. It's perhaps one of the most important things from my point of view in doing this whole YouTube thing. So I want to thank you for that, and so I hope that can continue between you and me going forward. That would be really nice, just to keep helping me and keep recommending things to me and telling me where I should go as a place to start or as a frame of reference. So, and yes, so that is a very brief discussion of what I consider to be my blind spots. I wonder, do you feel the same way as I do? Are there areas of film, regions of cinema, certain periods in cinema history, certain films perhaps, that you feel like you should have seen, or that are very quote-unquote famous or something that you haven't seen? So are there blind spots in your own film viewing? Are there certain gaps that you feel that you have in your own viewing that you want to try to remedy as soon as possible? I'd love to hear what your own experiences are and what your own wishes are in terms of what you want to explore next. I think that is yet another way of me to hear about your own personal film journey experience, which is always so much. It's a great pleasure for me to read, and it's a real honor for me to hear these stories and episodes from you, and I'm so honored that you'd be willing to share some of those with me as you've done in the past. So if you are so willing, I'd love to hear your what you think are your own sort of gaps in your film knowledge, and I'd be interested to hear maybe films that you are looking to watch maybe going forward, and we can start a conversation from there. Okay, my friends, let me end it here, and again, I hope you are all doing very, very well indeed. And as I said, the Arrow Academy box of Kiju Yoshida's Love and Anarchism is highly recommended. So if you are so interested in this kind of cinema, please consider this. Thank you very much. And I should say also that, let me end by saying that I am a very proud member of the 25th Frame Network. So if you are so interested, so inclined to check out some of the other great shows that are part of that network, please, if you have a free moment, take a look. I will leave a link below to the network website, and there are many shows that are emerging there, and so many exciting voices. They're much more knowledgeable, much more talented than I could ever hope to be. Incredible talents, incredible voices, and all in all, ultimately, so enthusiastic and energetic and excited about this thing that we all love, right, which is cinema. So I urge you, if you have a moment, to check out the 25th Frame Media website and the network. Okay, my friends, that's it. So until we meet again, please be happy and healthy and well. And please, I hope if things are getting you down in life, things are if you feel tired or a bit down in the dumps, or if you feel a bit blue, then I hope whatever it is, I hope it passes quickly and as painlessly as possible. And if it means going to the cinema and watching a good film, putting a Blu-ray in the Blu-ray player and enjoying that film for whatever it is, that hour and a half or 2 hours, then for what it's worth, I hope that you have many great experiences like that, and that you feel better and refreshed after watching that film. Because that's one of the great things about cinema, is it not? Is that it has a great ability to replenish one and fill one with energy, even when one is tired. I know I felt that way many times. Sometimes I feel tired and a little bit worn out. But if I put in a film, sometimes it can give me a little bit of extra pep, so to speak. And it's sometimes we just need a little bit of pep in order to what do I say? It's just a little bit can make all the difference in the world, right? So anyway, my friends, sorry for that long-winded thing at the end there. So this is just my way of trying to say that I hope you are all doing very well, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon, my friends. Until that time, take care and cheers.